to another edition of WCW 2005 here in TEW 2020 as we're continuing on the road to Superbrawl after a slight break just because, honestly, a bit of laziness, a bit of life getting in the way. What can you do? Regardless, it's now February in-game, but I'm just going to continue to do the year-end awards, at least for a little bit, probably through Superbrawl, just give people some time to sign up. Again, follow the link in the description and just, fill out. We got Wrestler of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Women's Wrestler of the Year, Match of the Year, Moment of the Year, Face Character of the Year, Heel Character of the Year, and Feud of the Year. And again, you don't have to watch for the whole, length of the series or the whole year in the series. If you've only seen a couple months, if you've seen the whole year, regardless, just, follow the link and, put in what you view as what's gone right and what's not, what you've liked the most so far in this game. But that's it. So I'll be back in just a second with the Nitro live from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. So we start the show, of course, after what happened last week with Jeff Jarrett facing Jack Evans and eventually RVD making the save, along with, of all people, the WCW Tag Team Champions, America's Most Wanted, who are still officially heels, but, obviously, as the Tag Team Champions, they want to go after Jindrak and AMW. But the show starts out with, of course, the Chosen Few coming out very upset, and Jarrett basically saying, "You do not get involved in our business. I'm sorry if you're upset that your little young hero Jack Evans was getting his ass kicked by the Chosen One. Ooh. But, Van Dam, all you did was make it obvious to everyone that you're scared that somebody with actual talent is coming for your belt. And I'm going to become a 6-time world champion. And there's nothing you can do about it except cry in your bong and hope that somehow you'll continue to be incredibly lucky. But you see, my backup actually can pull off what they need to do." And after Superbrawl, not only will I be world champion, but these two men, the future of this business, which is why I chose them as the Chosen Few, with the Tag Team Champions, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Q, RVD coming out with Heart Legacy, and RVD says, "Look, I got involved last week because you and your buddies were going 3-on-1 on this guy, who, yes, has the support of the fans, Q female squeals, wherever, but more importantly, is an honorable guy who simply wanted a chance at rising up in this business. But you didn't, you could have beat him, Jeff, all on your own. But you're an asshole, so you didn't do that. That's why I came out. And that's why I'm going to be happy at Superbrawl, to take you out and prove that when you don't got a former video store clerk beside you, you're nothing but an overhyped fossil. You're going to go back to Memphis and cry to your daddy about not getting what you deserved." Big pop for that. And then Jarrett fires back, "You can talk about people getting behind me. Well, Van Dam, there's no screaming son of a lawyer with daddy's money keeping a bingo hall afloat. So you're not going to be on your own. We're going to fight. Nobody in the back helping us. Nobody in power helping us. And only one man can walk the world champion. And tonight, it's going to be a little preview when me and the Chosen Few kick your guys' ass right in that ring and remind everybody exactly what is going to happen at Superbrawl." So main event set up. This gets a 90. Everybody does pretty well, except for Scott Hudson. But really, good stuff. RVD's champion. Continue to push the RVD Jarrett match at Superbrawl. And, Heart Legacy are still, top babyfaces, at least for now. Top babyface tag team and want to help out, RVD. So this gets a 90. And then we go to the ring. As the announcers, put over the big tag match, as it's a cruiserweight match between Aguila and Matt Sydal. And in a match that did, not terrible, but non-existent crowd heat, Matt Sydal gets the big win over Aguila in 8:42 by pinfall, as this gets a 36 only. Unfortunately, Aguila is not that over in the US, so, but that's why I mostly used him just in Mexico and one more match on this contract. And since he's a little bit over in US, I figure put Sydal over him, and this is the sort of match you'd expect. Lots of high flying. Aguila plays the heel, but Sydal eventually comes back from underneath. And the young gun, who's recently made his debut in WCW, gets the big win over Aguila here on Nitro, in front of 17,000 people in Arizona, as this gets a 36. Sydal gets a 43. Aguila gets a 37. Aguila was off his game, probably not happy about jobbing. And pre-show, ding, but what can you do? But at least Sydal was getting better of his gimmick. And post-match, He makes title belt motions as he enters, however, he's been very successful so far here in his young WCW career. And then we come back from commercial, and then Shane Helms comes down with with Reno, and he says, yes, last week I wasn't here because I was trying to explain to myself why I did not reclaim my world championship. And it was obvious. Since I've risen to the top, I wanted to create a legacy here in World Championship Wrestling. But what I realized is that after a while, you can't create a legacy to other people without creating your own legacy. You see, and he turns to Reno, who's been up with him. You destroyed my chances of becoming world champion last in Mexico with that ladder match. Now just point out, not really, Reno got involved, but, RVD won the match basically fair and square, but, he's Helms, he's Illusion, what can you do? But, this hasn't been the first time, but here's the honest reality. This will be the last time for you, because I regret to inform you that your services are no longer required. Reno, tries to go explain when I'm over, somebody jumps the ramp, comes in, and boom, big forearm to the back from behind, and then he grabs Reno, picks him up, powerbomb, lays him out, and he leaves the ring with Shane Helms by his side. The announcers aren't sure who this man is. You may know him as Tyson Tomko, not the new name, Titus Tomko, and he and Helms walk to the back together as Helms is laid out in the middle of the ring. This gets a 67, mostly because I forgot to put Tomko as a cameo, but Tomko debuted his bodyguard gimmick, and it got it great, so bonus to look dominant, interesting, losing comedy, that makes sense. So 67 only because I actually put Tomko in as if he was there for the whole 6 minutes, which wasn't my best move, but shit happens, what can you do? Regardless, a big moment here as it appears Shane Helms has pushed Reno out of the home legacy and brought in this new bodyguard. And then backstage where Matt Sydal is, backstage getting, recovering from his match, when Neil Lucifer walks up to him and says, listen, you think you're special just because you won matches? I'm human high earlier. I'm a former Cruiserweight champion, and if anybody deserves to take that belt off Taka, it's me. Said I was like, look, I won the match, and I've been more successful than you have, Elix. So if you want to take me on, talk to Bischoff, and I'm happy to kick your ass and prove that I deserve to be the number one contender to the Cruiserweight title. Elix just sort of scoffs at him and walks away as this gets a 37 because, well, look, these guys, not the most charismatic folks in the world, but you got to build storylines between your lower card people. And then you have a basically complete squash as Tank Dolan and Ray LePen defeat T.J. Perkins and Danny Matthews in a little over 4 minutes. These are just local guys. When Dolan pins T.J. Perkins with a tank turret, just they get a little bit of high flying offense right at the beginning. Eventually, heels take over and they just destroy these two local guys. This gets a 42. Ray LePen gets a 60. Tank Dolan gets a 66. Danny Matthews gets a 17. T.J. Perkins at 11. And these guys aren't quite ready for prime time. But again, Dolan and LePen have great chemistry teaming together, and I don't want to make them a heel tag team because honestly, I have a little too many heel tag teams at the moment. But this is a good way to put them over and give them some momentum. Well, they don't have quite anything to do right at the moment. But yeah, solid stuff. And then post-match, Tolan and LePen basically talk into the camera, just put over the highlights of the match, saying, international athletes, 60-man WCW, nothing can stop us in WCW, as Don Reed, basically hangs over them both. Just, can you put over their heel gimmicks, and, these guys won a match, they've been pretty successful here in WCW so far. As this gets a 66, which is shockingly really good considering it was only, I believe, 1 minute angle. So good stuff, actually. And then we basically go up to the top where Jeremy Borash says, he's not quite sure what's going on here, as he was told there'd be some big news, and he was told to wait for them. And first came out KAZ and Yang, as just over, Yang and KAZ had left together in a limo. And then after a moment, out comes Stacy Keibler beside them. Dressed in all black leather suit combo. Again, this is the most heelish picture I could find ever, and you can certainly see what happens. And, Borash is confused as, Stacy was last seen with Chuck Palumbo, and, she has. So, you're probably confused, Borash, why I'm with these two men. And here's the thing. At the end of last year, I left to do my own thing. I've traveled all the world, modeling for lots of companies, and enjoying the fact that I was the star of things, as opposed to being the eye candy for somebody that management wanted to get over. But once I was in Tokyo, doing work for a few companies you may have heard of, sponsors convinced me that I was being left to the side in wrestling, and I needed to manage somebody new with an actual edge. And that's when I got first behind this man, Quincy KAZ. Quincy KAZ says, this man has had some of the best matches in this company, and has been successful as hell. But look, he's left off pay-per-views. He's left to just drift in nothingness just because he's not what WCW officials want. But now I got him focused, and we helped convince Yang that he was never going to be allowed to come to his true potential for what he was doing. And now these two men are together to become the best tag team in professional wrestling once again. You see, they used to be dragons before, but now they are Ninkyo. They will punish those who deserve it, and they will sacrifice themselves to rise to the top of this business. And there's nobody who can get in their way. So there we go. Oops, I forgot to turn. Okay, so Keebler's. So yeah, Stacy's back. Obviously, she used to be Palumbo's manager. That whole thing broke up, and honestly, I didn't have much to do for her, which is why she was left off TV for a while. And also, didn't make sense that she would be around and not sort of deal with the Palumbo heel turn. But then I came up with this idea because KAZ and Yang need some help, at least on the mic skills part. And honestly, this is a little fun angle for them to do. But again, and this gets to 63 mainly because Stacy's over, but she's not the best on the mic. She's pretty good and she can help these guys, but and also looks like she rolled badly. But still, not the worst singer, but pretty solid stuff. 63, as we sort of say, as they leave, Scott Hudson notes that, Stacy Keebler says that that's what we mean, but also Ninkyo is also most well known as a word that goes with Dentai, which means chivalrous organization, which sounds nice until you realize that's mainly a phrase used largely in Japan to refer to Yuzuka. So there we go. Yes, it's a Yuzuka heel team, but what can you do? And then we go backstage where Kanyon and Chavo are, in the back. Basically, this is your pretty basic, straightforward babyface build promo for the big tag match later tonight, as they go over it's Kanyon and Chavo versus Jason, Judd, and Eddie. And, Kanyon basically says, Chavo, I'm glad you're behind me. Face I'll go to your uncle. But, and I realize you have your own problems with Eddie. But I'm here because he tried to take me out of this business because of his own freaking ego. But tonight, I'm going to write him no bigger than Kanyon, and you're on my side, and we're going to kick some ass. So just straightforward babyface promo just to build up the tag match later, as this gets an 80. And I believe next is sort of the big angle, maybe for tonight? Yes, it is. Okay, so first, we have Morningstar, NBC, and they come out. Big heel response as the answers, put over sort of the war they've been getting into with whoever's been trying to break the message. And then, Morningstar says, we're tired of the parlor tricks and the mysterious comments. Everyone knows who's been attacking us and trying to destroy the message. Reveal yourself and end this charade once and for all. So there's a bit of a momentary pause. Then some music hits, which is basically just a redo of Come As You Are, because why not? Then stop the favorites, stop the classics. And first comes out Killswitch and Wrathchild, who now just put over as the two large men who attacked Macias and Morningstar at the last pay-per-view, at last week's Nitro. or not last week's Nitro, like in the past few weeks. And then coming up to a pretty decent pop is none other than Raven. Probably you've guessed this, and also I think I sort of like spoiled it like when I was going through the roster. But yeah, signed him from WWE, he was done, and now he's here on WCW, and he's going after the Deadpool, and he has a mic. So, and he says, it's true. The time for treachery is over. It's now the time for violence and destruction. But you should not be the one requesting its end, Deadpool. You see, I come here not for justice, righteousness, or even glory. I come here for a simple reason. You've been a failure, and it's time for a better class of destruction, chaos, and darkness to come into WCW. I've watched from afar and seen that your message has been nothing but a run of failure after failure. You may think you've done a lot, but I've destroyed families, permanently sent men and women to therapy, and created scars that last a lifetime, both on the body and inside the soul. You do nothing of the sort, but yet you walk around here as if you have a personal line to the devil himself, just because you have a monster beside you. But you see, I've looked into the abyss and made it blink. I'm not an anti-hero. I'm not a Black Knight. I'm not even here on a cause of justice. I'm not even here to do the devil's business, but I'm here on my own accord. That's why deep down, you should feel the coldness rising through your bones. Because I have no limits. And there's been never anybody that can be my equal when it comes to psychological warfare. So Deadpool, you've had your wars. You fought men that you think have been great. And you've been through battles. But you're on my battleground, Neville. You're on my battleground now, Deadpool. Quote the Raven. Nevermore. The lights go out, and Raven and his new disciples are gone. So this gets an 87, which is really good. Raven, hey, turns out he's good at promos. And considering he's not that over, I think he's like low 60s, maybe mid 60s. And yeah, so here's your promo. Unofficially, it is heel versus heel because, well, these guys, but Raven is set as a face because, like, he would be getting cheers because Deadpool have been, like, long-term heels, and, like, he's not going to go after any baby faces, at least for the moment. He has one mission, that's go after Morningstar and CS. So there you go, 87, and let's move forward. We come back from Marshall, going to the back, and this is just a basic truth babyface promo saying, I'm here in WCW to rise to the top, and I'll face anybody in that ring and prove to them that the truth shall set you free. And it's my time now in WCW, a time for a new generation of wrestlers to make their mark. And I'm part of that generation. And I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere to prove I'm the best. 69, just your basic promo to remind everybody, truth is, that he's still here and, continue to, set up his character. And then we go to the ring, and in a decent match, Brother Ray defeats Jerry Lynn in 605 by pinfall with a full Nelson bomb. This gets a 70, which is honestly better than I thought it would do. Brother Ray gets a 73, Jerry Lynn gets a 54. Now let's just put over, the ECW connections, but it's like, it's not really an ECW match, like it's your basic match. This is sort of a way to really just regain Brother Ray's momentum. Jerry Lynn doesn't get squashed here, but like he gets a little bit of offense in, but at the end, Brother Ray is Brother Ray, and he gets the big one here, hitting him clean pin with the full Nelson bomb. As the crowd cheers, he takes the mic and says, in this business, you gotta make sure you gotta be aware of everything that's going on. So I turned on Revolution last week, and what I saw on TV was some whining from that former football player, Monty Brown. You see, Monty, I lost a pay-per-view, but you don't need to see whining all over. I lost the match. I tried to take on a great wrestler, a former champion, and I lost. But you see, I'm not surprised you did that. You see, I came up on these streets. I bled, fought, went through tables, and felt the flame in this ring. Monty, you may think you're tough. You've been coddled since the day you signed a contract with this company. I'm not saying football is a tough sport, but nothing is compared to wrestling. And you do learn to respect this business. And yeah, you're over in Revolution, I'm here in Nitro. But that's a line that can be crossed if Eric Bischoff can make a deal. So if you want some competition, come cross this line if you're feeling froggy. So good promo calling out Monty Brown as, again, I do want to keep shows mainly separate, but like instead of like completely like breaking the links, and like I want to like actually slowly break things up So, like, there's still connections. Like, O'Hare and Palumbo still hate each other, so they're going after each other. And eventually, as we go forward, like, shows will be more and more separate. But there'll be some connections at the start, especially, and eventually, obviously, throughout the year with stuff like the Mayhem Tournament, there will be overdraft, but there's not going to be, like, Nitro versus Revolution matches at every cross-brand pay-per-view. But good promo 78 as we move forward. And then we go backstage where Helms and Tonko are leaving, and Borash basically answers, and Helms is like, "This is the end of Legacy," because I was so trying to create a legacy, I forgot to create my own legacy on my own. And this man, Titus Tonko, has been the bodyguard for rock stars, actors, dictators, presidents, and he's here to watch my back so that I can create my own legacy and rise back to the top. And nobody's going to get in my way. Then he walks away, 64. It looks at, and as we sort of like, as Borash is about to like throw things back, we hear some yelling and like things clanging around. Borash like runs over along as the camera follows him, and we see the Ninkyo attacking the Heart Legacy, just kicking their ass and leaving them down. And then the Yang and KAZ just walk away with Stacy at their back as WWE officials come out to try to help our Heart Legacy as this gets a 67. And then we have our tag team match, which, Jesus, could have been our main event. Like, honestly, this could have been, it's probably going to be better than our main event. As in a superb match, Kanyon and Chavo Guerrero get the win over Jason Jett and Eddy Guerrero in a little over 15 minutes when Kanyon pins Jason Jett with the flatliner. Yeah, I mean, you can sort of like expect this. Like, Chavo and Jason go after each other. Jason Jett does some high flying moves. Chavo does his US style / Lucha offense, dive on Jason Jett. Eddy comes up after Chavo. Kanyon makes a save. Eventually, I imagine Kanyon go for the cannon cutter on Eddy, but he pushes it off. Some heel mastery by Eddy as he works on Kanyon's knees and legs, breaking him down. Goes for the sort of three amigos, but Kanyon fights back. Eventually, Kanyon, I imagine, hitting the Blue Thunder Bomb on Chavo, going up top for the Frog Splash, but Chavo rolling away. Hot tag, things break down, and eventually Kanyon nails Jett with the flatliner to get the pinfall victory over the TV champion. As this gets a 90, like I said, Chavo gets a 72, Kanyon gets a 92 because he's great, Eddy gets a 92, and Jason Jett gets a 71. So fun stuff, and a big win for Kanyon, even though it's not over Eddy, but it gets a big win despite Eddy trying to take him out a couple weeks ago. And then post-match, Kanyon celebrating, Eddy's on the outside upset. He grabs a chair, and he goes after Kanyon, but Canyon's ready for him. And boom, Kanyon cutter on the chair. Kanyon celebrates as he enters, put over your Kanyon, got a measure of revenge over Eddy Guerrero, but we're sure Kanyon's not done with a former world champion, as this gets an 87. And then we have the Revolution rebounding, just basically highlights of Revolution. And then we go backstage where Sean O'Hare is with Eric Bischoff, and there's a bit of tension as Eric is like, you can't just go over there and get involved on Revolution every week until you get what you want, right, Sean? And Sean's like, I'll do what I damn like until you and Teddy have a talk and give me what I want and need and what these fans want. Pop for that. And Bischoff's like, why can't this just be over? There's plenty of people here who'd want a shot at a former world champion. And look, you had your match. You got the win. Move past it. And O'Hare's like, this is my business, Eric, and you need to make it your business. Because I'm not going to give a damn about anything that happens on Nitro until I get my rematch against Palumbo and remind him why I was the world champion and why I was the leader of the Natural Born Thrillers. So do your damn job. Continue to build the O'Hare Palumbo feud. I believe next up is the main. Oh, right. Okay, so heels come out very cocky and happy. And then RVD comes out alone, but then AMW's music hits to a big pop as RVD has the mic and he says, you see, it's true, I didn't ask AMW help, but they came up to me and say they're tired of your BS, and they're here to help me out tonight. And Storm takes the mic and says, if you don't like that, sorry about your damn luck. And then, so they basically turn face, here we go, and then turn face. There we go. So 70 this is just a quick like 2-minute segment, and then we have the actual match, which gets an 85. So about what I expected, like, you know, be a little bit less. As in a superb match, the chosen few get the win over RVD and AMW in 17 minutes when Mark Jindrak pins Chris Harris. It says we'll use the ropes for Love Roach, but like this is sort of, you know, wild 6-man action, like everybody hitting their spots in, lots of like pretty decent, like, you know, high impact US Pro style stuff. RVD does some flipping around, Jarrett does some southern brawling with both AMW and RVD. AMW hits some double team moves, Jindrak fires back with some power stuff, Divine flies around a bit, and everything's breaking down. Jindrak comes in, you know, I imagine like, you know, hits a low blow on Chris Harris, hits his finisher, gets the quick pinfall victory while it's basically a 6-way brawl, and gets the big win for the heels. Continue like the building up the big tag team title match, and of course the world title match at Superbrawl. As this gets an 85, James Storm gets an 81, Chris Harris gets a 77, RVD gets a 95 because he's freaking great, Johnny Devine gets a 75 himself, Jindrak gets a 73, and Jeff Jarrett gets a 90. And then post match, everybody just continues to fight, like, you know, like just as, you know, Jindrak comes in, you know, gets the pinfall victory. RVD comes in after take out Jarrett. Jarrett comes back in. The fight continues. But the heels, like, you know, continue to look strong. And, you know, Jarrett tries to wallop RVD with the title belt. RVD is ready for him. Hits him with basically a modified Van Dam-ator, except it's on a chair. It's a title belt. Jarrett falls back. But Divine and Jindrak attack RVD then from behind, which brings back in AMW, and, you know, the heels like in faces all face off before WCW officials break it up. As this gets a 94, and overall the show itself gets a 87. So good stuff. And that's Rikishi. Honestly, had a much better run in this version of reality. If there's any interesting news, yeah, forget with this like big save, it gets pretty tough to use. All right, so yeah, El Hijo left because like his contract was up. Okay, like and both like Yoda's gone. Let's see here. All right, so I'm not going to show you guys Raw first because I have something else to show you. Raw is actually pretty good, so that might be something interesting to bring in anyway. Sorry. So WWE, of course, because it's the beginning of the month, that means last night they had the Rumble. So let's just go over the results here. Which, because it's the Rumble, it's always wacky because the game doesn't know you can double book people. Regardless, we had Lance Kidd and Christian York defeated Nick Dinsmore and Cody Hawk in a 61. Veronica Vane, who is, you know, the forward Jordan Cole, defeating Lizzie Valentine in a 58. We had Crash Holly defeat Maven. We had Shaniqua defeat Christy Cummings and Cherry Slice in a 55. We had Leviathan defeat Perry Saturn to retain the European title in a 66. We had Molly Holly defeat Amber James, that's the former Amber O'Neil, in a 79, because Molly Holly is freaking great. Then we had TNA actually defeating the Outcasts of Rhino and Tommy Dreamer to retain the tag titles. So a big win for the heels here. In a 81, JBL defeats Steve Richards to retain the IC title in 82. And Shawn Michaels won the Royal Rumble. So yeah, obviously the game doesn't tell you like who did best, but it's interesting like these were the last 4. That would be fun to do. But yeah, interesting stuff. So now when the Mania comes up, I have to figure out a way. And again, if you notice, Chris Benoit, the world champion, nowhere on this friggin' show. Again, I do not understand what this game is doing, where they give Benoit the title, but he's doing nothing on the actual TV shows. It's some very weird booking. But anyway, so we had Raw, and Raw had Raw had CM Punk defeat Cody Hawk in the pre-show, Outcast defeat Little Fellas, we had Scott Hall defeat Maven, JBL and Sudden Impact, which I think is Brian Christopher and Matt Hardy, defeat Christian and Bum and Gry in a tables match. Molly Hall defeats Shaniqua in 82. Edge won a squash. Kurt Angle, Billy Gunn defeated The Undertaker and Big Show. And the main event, Shawn Michaels defeated DDP. And let's see here. This got 2.29 million viewers. And we got 2.04 million viewers. So still pretty close. Obviously, overall, we're actually beating them. I think mainly because there's one show. Yeah, we have. I forget where, but we have a better TV contract. So regardless, like, yeah, fun stuff. And just to show you guys Raven, since he's not debuted, he's still not terrible in ring. Like he's still sleazy. He doesn't have any of his drug problems, at least in character here, which is interesting. Mike's skills is still great, but yeah, I mean, he is what he is. Like he's decent. He's actually a little bit more over than I thought. He's in the 60s, high 60s, not low 60s, but we'll see what he does. And yeah, in WF wise, like he went out basically. Like let's see here. We just look at his. Hold on, let me just top 25 matches. So like yeah, he had like some matches with. He had a random 100 with Shawn Michaels, of course he did. But yeah, he was with Raven for a while, which lost him for a while in the early part of this game. But yeah, interesting stuff. Anyway, I'll be back in just a second with, well, at least on your end, Revolution. All right, folks, it's time for WCW Revolution live from beautiful Wichita, Kansas. So let's get rolling with the show. We start out with Revolution General Manager Teddy Long coming out to a decent pop from the crowd as he says, "Tonight's a big main event of Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Lance Storm. These two men have been battled before, and they're currently going after each other. But a lot of people have asked what I'm going to do about the WCW World Championship and get it here on Revolution. And here's what I've managed to do. Tonight, whoever wins Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Lance Storm will get a title shot right here next week on Revolution, just 10 days out from Slamboree. So it might not be Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Jarrett at Slamboree. It might be Rey Jr. or Lance Storm versus Jeff Jarrett at Slamboree. Playa. And out comes Chuck Palumbo, and he says, wait. I beat a former world champion at Starrcade. I'm your top star here in Revolution. And yet, those two jokes are getting a toss shot before I am? That's BS, Teddy, you know it. And long as Teddy's like, Playa, what the hell do you want? Do you want Sean O'Haire? You want a world title shot? Do you want to do anything actually here on Revolution except get involved in fights with people who aren't even on the show? Look, I'll make some calls. I'll see what Bischoff wants. Playa, you're on Revolution now. Now you're focused on Revolution. I'm going to focus on people who want to work here and want to bring the title to this show. A little confrontation, but it's all set up that, Eric Bischoff will call Teddy Long and try to make a match. But also, Chuck Palumbo will not be getting any sort of title shots until he gets focused on business in here. And a big main event tonight of Rey Jr. versus Lance Storm for a title shot next week here, right here on Revolution. So this gets an 82, solid stuff. Teddy Long's not the best, but, he's getting there. And then we go backstage where Emmy Weber is basically, interrupting Rob Van Dam as he arrives. Rob makes a joke about preferring the interviewers here on Revolution, because of course he would. But, Amy asked him, if he's ready to defend the title next week. And Rob basically says, look, I fought both these men before in great matches. I've teamed with both of them. And, I'm better friends with Rey Jr. right now, but I'll be great to have a fantastic match next week. And Lance Storm, we've been foes, we've been friends, but he's a great technical wrestler. But whoever faces off against him will be reminded why RVD is the world champ. So just a quick promo as RVD arrives, as this gets a 62. And they go in the ring for the debut of Lila Vivez, better known as Lacey, and it's a decent little back and forth match. Like Lucina gets to, play the, sort of pure technical heel, like taking apart Lila. But Lila fights back, and eventually, Lucina, charges, and Lila gets a quick cradle, holds the shoulders down, and gets a big pinfall here in her debut here on WCW Revolution. And this gets a 56. Vivaz gets a 42 because she's not that over quite yet, and Pisa gets a 58. But a big one here on Revolution. Post-match, Nikita comes down and tries to go after Lila. Obviously, it looks like it's bad because it's 2-on-1. But out comes Ronnie Jonah and Diana Hurt to make the big save. And, basically Chafe chase European Union off as it gets a 50. And as it appears, these, the undercard women are, getting together, at least a little bit. But it's all the stuff, again, multiple storylines, for the women, because you can't just have the world title stuff, or the women's world title stuff. And then we have a promo backstage from Jamie Noble, and I keep on forgetting Noble's really good at, promos, and I probably should use them more. But anyway, last week, I beat that supposed new blood, AJ Styles, who's the bright, shining star of Revolution, and who we're supposed to all kneel down to. Don't point out that other people got involved, blah, 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 but this is my ring. I have to get in there every week and prove it to choke somebody out. I'll do it. Old, new, champions, challengers, young guns, veterans, whatever. Everybody at Revolution is going to have to understand. You're going to have two choices. Tap or snap. So really good promo from Noble as he, basically makes it obvious he wants some competition in the ring, and this gets an 85. We move forward, where Captivation are backstage, and they basically, put over, they're the elite group here in the women's division, and sooner or later, WCW official, Teddy Long, and everybody else will just have to let them get back to the top where they belong as two former women's world champion and an icon of women's wrestling here in the United States. Decent promo, 64, pretty good as all women's roll well, as he also put over tonight their faces Celine Cartier, and Celine got involved in their business before, and they're going to remind him, Celine, why we chased your buddy out of this company, and he's not even around anymore. Making a blatant reference to, of course, the former Jordan Cole, as this gets a 64. We move forward with a fun little match, basically built off last week, as in a superb match which gets a 79, AJ Styles defeats Kenyon Sharp in 9:32. It says with a handful of ties, but really what happens here is Ken Anderson comes down to the ring, Sharp is doing his, Muay Thai stuff, trying to lock AJ in submissions. AJ fights back, but eventually Ken Anderson comes down, and that's just enough for Sharp to get distracted. Drop kick to the back of the head. Big series of moves. AJ hits the Styles Clash. 1, 2, 3. As this gets a 79, AJ Styles gets an 84. Ken Sharp gets an 82. Decent, probably just was dinged because it was short. And yeah, good stuff. And of course, Ken Sharp is upset and he goes after Ken Anderson, but Sharp hits to the back with a cockpit on his face as this gets a 69. Again, nothing fancy here, just continuing to build up this little animosity between Sharp and Anderson. Well, AJ gets a big win here on TV. Let's try that again. There we go. And then we go backstage, where Teddy's in his office, just doing, backstage and owner stuff, and Monty Brown enters the ring, and, Teddy looks up, sort of, just, flummoxed and flustered, as Bonnie says, look, that piece of trash called me out. I want him in that ring and send him back to that disgusting place, that bingo hall in Philadelphia, and remind him, I'm the future of WCW, and he's nothing but a charity case from a failed company. Teddy's like, look, I'll try to get you your match. But then it's time to focus on what matters, and that's Revolution. And it's like, what matters is me kicking whoever's in front of me. And if they want to say, because I didn't wrestle for $10 in front of a bunch of idiots in that crowd, and that I made big money right from the start of my professional career, that's on them. When everyone walks out and we see Teddy, down on the call, and says, yeah, Eric, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Look, we need to get this done so we can focus on our own shows instead of having these guys try and attack each other. So what do you say? And then we cut out from that as Teddy Long tries to make some heels. As this gets an 86, Monty Brown looks good and continues to put over everything. And then we go backstage, where Amy Weber is talking to the Triumvirate, as, they start off, Kim is like, tonight's going to be a great night, as we prove once again why the Triumvirate is the greatest group in wrestling right now. And Lance Storm proves why he's the best technical wrestler in this business, and nobody can deny that. And Amy Weber and Russell says, I get that, but, so, if Lance wins, he gets a title shot next week. And Kim just, looks at her like she's an idiot. But then, if he beats the world champion, then what are you going to do? Because you have that called shot, Billy. And Billy, looks a little upset and says, look, we're a group together. We're united. And you are not going to break us up just by asking us a couple questions. We have a plan, and you don't get to be a part of it. And Lance just sort of then answers, I look forward to whomever's in front of him in that ring. Which gets him a sort of a dirty look from Kidman, but also like sort of like pats them both up and says, look, we're together, we're united, and there's nothing you need to bother about, okay? And he has a harsh look for Amy as she just says, look, I'm just trying to know what to do. So this gets to 79 because I actually rated him because he's actually just doing more than holding a mic. So there you go. But you can build it up and giving a little bit of, possible some friction as this gets a 79. And then we have our sort of a big match as in a decent match. Angel Fox gets a big win over Celine Cartier, but it's what you expect, like decent back and forth match. Celine using power moves, Angel fighting back, but eventually Angel is able to basically, cheat, hit the and get the sort of pinfall victory over Celine Cartier. Honestly, just using the rest for leverage as this gets a 64, Celine Cartier gets a 63, Angel Fox gets a 56. And post-match, the heels celebrate, because, not every match needs to be an angle effort. Sometimes the heels just win, get to celebrate, and the crowd gets to be upset about it. And then we go backstage, or not backstage, but like Tricia Skye comes out and ring to the big pop as with the championship, and she says, last week, I was assigned to critics who said I got lucky in a triple threat match at Stargate. And I was happy to do that. But Gail, then you got involved. So, I have a lot of respect for you. I want you to come out here and explain yourself. Pop for that as then Angel. And then Gail Kim comes out to a mixed pop. She's still getting some cheers because, she has turned face and she's been around for a long time in this company. And she then says, Tricia, you may have the title, but I'm still the head bitch in charge of WCW, whether or not you like it. You want to talk about the credits? Well, I've never got a real match for my title because if W officials got stars in their eyes. And Tricia says, I've earned everything. And Gail says, look, yeah, you're great. But I'm the one about to make this division or something. So much so that women like you and Joni would get involved. But now I'm supposed to step aside and fade into the background while the true stars take over. Well, I'm not going to, no matter who likes it. Whether you like it, whether Joni likes it, whether Teddy Long likes it. Because I'm still part of this. Because I'm still going to be Women's World Champion once again. Who's ever in my way. And there's a stare down before Gail Kim walks away at 88. Continue to build this storyline. Gail Kim's still a babyface, at least so far, but she really wants that clean rematch for her Women's World Championship. As this gets an 88. And then we go backstage where AJ's finds Ken Anderson. He's like, look, Anderson, I didn't need your help. And Ken's sort of works and says, I don't care, kid. I do what I need to, and you should appreciate me that I'm ready to kick Sharp's teeth in if he was going to go over the line. And AJ's like, look, whatever. You want to help out with that, but if you want to fight with Sharp, do that on your own time. And Ken's like, you're not special, AJ. We both want the same thing, and we could help each other out. But I'm going to do what I need to, and you do what you need to, and maybe we'll cross paths again. So 73, they're both faces, but some, tension there. Because Anderson's a baby face, but he's kind of a cocky prick. And then we go backstage where basically RVD had Rey have a quick little chat, where, RVD, says, would love to have a great match with you next week. And Rey's like, are you sure about that? You got a big match at Superbrawl. Do you really want to face off against me? A couple weeks before that. And, it's mostly babyface, banter. And RVD finishes look, I'm the world champion for a reason. I'm ready to fight anybody. You, Jarrett, Storm, whoever. And they shake hands, and, Rey gets back to getting ready for the match. That's getting an 82. And then, before the number one contenders match between Alex Wright and Cash, out comes Jonathan Toro to basically be at ringside for the match. His first appearance on Revolution in a while, I think, since the split, and this gets a 72. And then it's time for our semi-main event of Alex Wright versus Cash, which gets a 75. Honestly, a little disappointed in that. I expected, let me see, is there anything bad about this? Oh, shoot. I forgot to add a storyline. I forgot to add Cash. Okay. This could have been low 80s, maybe with a storyline. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, not the end of the world. So, back and forth match for what you expect. It's Alex Wright, it's Cash going at each other, Wright doing some technical stuff. But, Tori, Cash gets tosses right to the outside. Tori, looks at him, wishes some stuff in the ring, points something at Cash. And Wright gets a little more aggressive, takes over, and eventually hits the big single arm DDT and gets a pinfall victory over Cash during the United States title shot, as this gets 75, like I said, Rey getting a 72 and Cash getting a 79. And, Wright is celebrating with Tori when Jonathan Toro comes into the ring, and, Wright is ready for a fight, and Tori, Toro holds his hands up and says, look, I'm not here for a fight. Because, us, we should be allies. And Wright just looks at him like, why? Look, barbarians such as yourselves have been integrated into the Empire before, and you can be again. Get rid of your dead weight here, as he points at Tori, and join us, where we can be fantastic together and rule as an empire. And, Wright is ready to fight, and Tori settles him down, and she takes him and says, Toro, you're delusional, and at Superbrawl, this man is going to prove why he's one of the best wrestlers in the world and take that U.S. title off of you. Pop for that, and Toro just nods and walks away. So, to do some pre-booking here. That's right, versus Jonathan Toro for the United States title at Superbrawl. And some other matches that were basically as also added is Paul London versus Billy Kidman officially, and Eddy Guerrero versus Kanyon officially. This gets a 79, so good stuff. Toro's getting better on the mic, and Wright is solid, so there we go. And then we have our main event, which did not do as... Wait, did I forget? Man, one of these times I'm going to remember what to do correctly. I forgot these guys. Okay, I forgot there's two separate storylines with the whole Primordial thing. God damn it. Okay, well, not the end of the world. I mean, this is sort of the exact great match you'd expect from mid-2000s. Lance Storm and Rey Jr. Technical stuff, high-flying, reversals, Rey fighting out of a long maple leaf, Storm, hitting a big super kick, but Rey fighting back, Rey hitting a big Frankensteiner, but in the end, Rey Jr. gets the big win over Lance Storm in a little over 15 minutes with a springboard hurricanrana. This only gets a 76, unfortunately, with Rey Jr. getting 91 and Lance Storm getting 84. So the announcing and color commentator, along with lack of storyline, ding this probably about 10 points, which is unfortunate. But a big song win for Rey Jr. here. And of course, what happens is, Rey Jr. is celebrating, but Lance Storm goes on the attack. And out comes Mike Awesome and Kidman. And it looks like there's going to be a big beat down here. Went to a big pop. Walk hits, and out comes RVD to make the save right at the end of the show. Basically to run off the triumvirate and help his friend up. And, they have a hug out, they reach each other's arms, but Rey Jr. is looking at that world title as the show ends, as Young just put over Rey Jr. versus RVD next week for the WCW Championship, as this gets an 84. And overall, the show itself gets an 81. Oof, not our best show. Ooh, we might actually be kicked off of Sky 1 after this. That might be actually pretty bad. I actually think we might be off Sky after that show. And again, I probably could have had Booker or honestly, he was the only really over guy. Honestly, if I remembered to add storylines to the Oxray Cash, we probably would have gotten 84, 85. So, C.S. Livy, what can you do? Yes, I know, actually book well. Oh, okay, looks like we weren't thrown off. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, I know you guys are wrestling a lot. Don't worry. I'll try to give you some time to heal. AJ Styles thinks, she's not bad, so that's interesting. So, okay, cool. Nothing so far. Noah, okay, interesting. Yeah, so there we go. Not our best series of shows. Honestly, shit happens with the Revolution, but what can you do? Booker T's sort of in a weird spot because I have a storyline for him, but it's not quite ready yet. We have to deal with that. But anyway, to go over what else has been happening in the beautiful wrestling world. WWE had SmackDown, and interesting that they finally brought Scott Vick up. See, is he even oof, okay. He might turn into a pure jobber for them, which is unfortunate. Anyway, sorry, had to look that over. So, looking things over, we had some pre-show matches. We had Cherry Slice defeating Christy Cummings, who is the former Christy Ritchie. We had Amber James defeating Selena Majors. We had the Gals of Rouge actually getting a win over Val Venus and Devon and Shelton Benjamin. And Benjamin's actually doing pretty good in the ring. 56, but he's not that over, and the heels are doing alright. It So solid one for the Hills here. We had Molly Holly defeat Shaniqua in the 77th. Then we had Shawn Michaels defeating Ron Waterman in squash. Brock Lesnar winning a squash. And then main event, we had Big Show and Edge defeating Triple H and Chris Benoit. So at least Benoit is on the show. And of course, random 99, because of course it was. But then, okay, so if we go to our, so first, NWA Wild Side. Let's see here. Did I show you guys? No, okay, so this happened basically after the show. Or no, I showed you guys this, yes, because it's Cassie O'Reilly thing I remember. So at Wildside TV, we had Claudio defeating Kenzo Suzuki in the 54. Kenzo's not there yet. Claudio's getting closer. We had Prisman Baker defeating Rumble and Kick Race to retain the NWA World Tag Titles. Tom Zumahara defeated Tony Jones and Cassie O'Reilly. Tom Jones is up to Tony Jones is 41, so he has quite a while to go. Ken Cole and Trevor Rhodes and Soda Mountain defeat Keith Walker, Ortiz, and Diaz. Keith Walker's getting 54s. Trevor Rhodes is still at 47. Jason Cross and Jimmy Ray defeat Akabo and Lazarus. So there you go. Don't care about that. For the weekly house show, we had Siaki and Rain Man defeating Matt Cross and JC Daz. Sonny Saki's doing pretty well. Matt Cross has a little bit ago, and yeah. Let's see here. Tom Zuma Howard defeated Adam Ortiz, who is a regen, and he's getting closer to being ready. Let's see. Chance Prophet defeating Ryan Drago. Prophet's doing all right. TNT defeated Keith Walker and Tony Jones to retain the tag titles. And Jason Cross defeated Kai Graves, and Kai Graves defeated Jason Cross. Kai Graves is also getting close to being ready to move up. But fun stuff. And then for our women's stuff, we had their weekly show, which has Miss Molly defeated Michelle McCool by DQ in 41. Ariel Lacey and Tracy Taylor defeated Madison Claire in the 100% Girls in 853. ODB defeated Cheerleader Melissa by DQ in 61. Nikki Rox drew Allison Danger in 65. And Kim Nielsen defeated Mola Hosaka and Tracy Brooks to retain the AEW title in 58. And then for Ladies Night 2, we had Becky Bayless and Meg Woman defeat Tracy Taylor, Allison Danger, and ODB by DQ in 50. Mischief defeated Lacey by DQ. Kim Nielsen defeated Madison Claire to retain the AWQ title in 45. Ouch. Ariel and Tracy Brooks defeated Sherman Wilson and Mola Hasaka by DQ in a match for the titles. The main event, Nikki Rox drew with Annie Social in 65. And then if we go to HWA, so there we go. HW Weekly, we have Matt Striker defeating Ray Steele, Chuck Clark defeating Ross Haas, Capital and Shark Boy defeating Rocky Romero and Andy Douglas, and Factory Scott Vick in his go-away match from HWA, Ricky Shane Page and Dan Robert defeat Court Castle and Excalibur, Goldberg and Cyber Squad defeat Jimmy Gibbs and Shelley Bradburn, John Cena defeated Ortega Estrada. Cena's up to a 47, so honestly, as long as they actually book him, he's actually getting over pretty quickly. Then we had OVW, which first had their week. Again, I always forget whether. Okay, you guys already saw that. So for their weekly loop, we had, let's see here, Charlie House and Chemo defeating Sean Casey and Rory Fox. Chantel Taylor defeated Kathleen Chambers in a really bad match because neither of these women are quite over. Let's see here. Riptide defeats Sarah Stock. Rob Comedy defeated off Tony in 58. Joey Matthews and Homicide defeated Mitch Page and Mafia in 62. Spanky defeating Doring. Justice defeating Joey Ryan. And then the other weekly loop match, we had Steve Bradley defeating Shaggy Utop in a match that happened. Daniel Pewter got a win over Sean Casey. Shane Taylor defeated Lizzie Borden. Justice defeating Rob Conway. So yeah, nothing too fancy. And I always forget when there's a bit of a gap here. Let's see. Let me look at the news. Set. And then if we just look at results. Is there anything else as far as big shows? We had Royal Rumble. Integrity, who's sort of the new ROH since ROH got taken over by Vince Russo and Rob Black. So at Air Paris defeated Jerry Lynn in 76. Jesus. Mark Murrow defeated Shannon Ballard. Ice Train and Tony Zena defeated Dave Young Glacier. Matt Striker defeated Jesus Castillo Jr. Shane Ballard and John Phoenix defeated Brian Lowe and Jolly Roger. Okay. Flash Brannigan defeated Eddie Kwan, Charlie Ritten and Rocky Romero. Interesting stuff. I think that was everything that was important to show you guys. Yes, because we get back to this stuff. AWA, which I think, yeah, I totally showed you guys that. Hector versus Cyberneco in 94. Jesus. Alright. So yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and leave a like, comment below what you're enjoying, not enjoying, and of course, subscribe to the channel for all this TEW 2020 content, including this series, and for now, my New Japan 2004 series, which is heading towards the G1 climax of 2004, and Bill Goldberg is the champion there. That's it for now, so talk later, and adios. Have a good one.